My name is Emily. I live alone in a small apartment on the third floor of an old building, the kind where the hallways always smell damp and the walls seem to whisper when the lights go out. And every single night at exactly 3:17 a.m., my phone rings, not before, not after, never a second late, always 3:17. And the first time it happened, I thought it was a coincidence, a wrong number, maybe a drunk call, something meaningless. So half asleep, I answered and whispered hello, but there was no voice, only slow breathing, deep and uneven, so close that my skin crawled as if someone were standing right beside my bed. And before I could speak again, the call ended, leaving my heart racing in the silence, and I tried to forget it. But the next night at 3:17 a.m. the phone rang again, sharp and loud in the dark, my eyes snapping open, my fingers trembling as I answered. And once more there was silence before a soft whisper slid into my ear. "Don't turn around," and the line went dead, freezing my body in fear as I stared into the darkness behind me, afraid to move, afraid to breathe. And when I finally reached for the lamp and filled the room with light, there was nothing, no shadow, no movement, no sign of another presence. Yet the air felt thick and heavy, as if something unseen had just stepped away. And from that night on, the calls never stopped, every single night at the same time, sometimes only breathing, sometimes faint static, sometimes the soft sound of footsteps, moving slowly across the floor, always leaving me shaking and sleepless. So I changed my number, but the calls continued. I turned my phone off completely. Yet at 3:17 a.m., it switched on by itself and began to ring, vibrating violently on my bedside table. And one night I refused to answer, pulling the blanket over my head like a frightened child. But the ringing continued again and again until the screen showed 62 missed calls from an unknown number. My hands shaking so badly, I could barely hold the phone when I finally answered. And this time the voice was clearer, closer, colder, whispering my name, Emily, in a way that made my chest tighten. And when I demanded to know who it was, the voice replied, "Why won't you look at me?" And my breath caught in my throat as I whispered that I was alone. But the voice softly said, "I'm standing right behind you." And my phone slipped from my fingers onto the floor as my heart hammered against my ribs, the room suddenly feeling too small, too tight. And though I slowly turned, there was nothing there. Yet I felt warm breath brush against my neck. And that night I packed everything I owned into 2 small bags and moved to another city, another apartment, another life, telling no one my address, convinced I could finally escape whatever was haunting me. And for weeks there were no calls, no whispers, no footsteps, and I began to sleep again, to breathe again, to believe I was safe. Until one night, when the familiar sound shattered my fragile peace, and at exactly 3:17 a.m. the phone rang, my blood turning to ice as I answered and heard a soft laugh whisper, "You can't run from yourself, Emily." And when I begged it to stop, to leave me alone, the voice replied, "I'm only here to remind you." And when I asked what it meant, there was a long pause before the words slipped into my ear like a knife. The accident, and my stomach dropped as memories I had buried deep clawed their way back into my mind. The rainy night 5 years ago, the empty road, the blurred headlights, the sudden figure crossing in front of my car, the terrible impact, the scream that echoed in my ears for weeks, and how I never stopped, how I drove away in terror, leaving a young woman broken and bleeding on the cold asphalt. And the voice whispered, "You left me there to die, alone, afraid, and in pain." As footsteps echoed slowly behind me, wet and heavy, each step closer than the last, and I sobbed that I was sorry, that I hadn't meant to, that I was scared, but the voice only whispered, "Don't turn around," just like that night. And the temperature in the room dropped so suddenly, my breath turned white, the air biting into my skin. And I felt a freezing hand rest gently on my shoulder, sending a jolt of terror through my body as I spun around screaming, only to see nothing. But on the mirror across the room, words written slowly in fog appeared, "Look at me." And my phone vibrated in my trembling hand with one final call. And when I answered, the voice whispered, "I forgive you," before the line went dead, the room warming once more, the mirror clearing and the words fading away. Yet from that night on, though my phone never rang again, I still wake up every morning at exactly 3:17 a.m. with the feeling of invisible fingers brushing against my neck and the unbearable certainty that something unseen is standing just behind me, watching, waiting, and reminding me that some sins are never meant to be forgotten. Subscribe for more stories.